5, 4. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the PokerNews podcast. We are coming up on Halloween. Woo woo! Like one of my favorite holidays, just saying. I'm Sarah Herring, joined by Jeff Platt. Jeff, what are you going to be for Halloween?
I probably won't dress up. Does that disappoint you greatly?
Jeff, you don't even have like a backup, like an emergency one that you just go to?
You know, my emergency one is actually Secret Service agent because I have the suit and then I have the earpiece from broadcasting stuff. And I just put on a pair of sunglasses and there you go, Secret Service agent, right? Is that pretty lame?
Actually, that's really good because I still have my like mic from being an AD or whatever, and I never even considered that because I have like a whole set of just backup ones, you know, emergency costumes.
Right, of course.
Never even considered it.
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome.
It's a good backup to have. What are you going to be?
Well, actually, this weekend I'm going to the Renaissance Festival, so I have like a little, you know, Renaissance Festival kind of bar maiden outfit. But this last weekend was my baby shower, and I was Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I have a few. I'll be wearing certain outfits all week. I have a lot of outfits with like that showcase the baby, like dress T-shirt things that have weird. There are so many funny baby outfits I've been getting.
Oh, yeah.
My sister-in-law just got me a baby outfit that says "Made." It's like a little barcode. Looks like a barcode. Okay. And it says "Made in China."
Oh, yeah. Very good.
It's
very
so
good.
dumb, but I can't wait to wear it. And like I got a Bitcoin one the other day. It says "Hodl me." Oh, I mean, come on. I'm just like, these are so cute. I don't know. These people are brilliant. But of course, we do, you know, intend to talk a little bit about poker. That is something I suppose we should. You didn't have to commentate for the rest of the WSOP-E. Is that true?
That much is true. I just did a day of the main event alongside Brent Hanks, and that was it for my World Series of Poker Europe main event commentating. Handed the reins back to David Tuckman, and he and Brent are off and running down the stretch here, Sarah. The World Series of Poker Europe main event, 541 entries. You know, we've bashed the World Series of Poker Europe over the last couple of weeks, I feel like. And we've taken some shots at Razvedov, but this is the second biggest World Series of Poker Europe main event ever. It's the biggest one that's been at Razvedov in the Czech Republic. So I think they certainly deserve some credit for running a decent amount of satellites. We always think they could do more, of course, but 541 I think is a really good number and a good turnout for them.
And right now, leading the way, who is it?
Well, now it is the one, the only, your favorite, Dario Sammartino, Super Dario.
Pizza, soup, and pasta. Pizza,
has the chip lead at the World Series of Poker Europe main event. Only 3 players have final tabled both main events in the same year, the one in Vegas and the one in Europe. Ivan Demidov, Anton Saut, and James Aikenhead. And so Dario is looking to become the 4th. Now, a second place finish combined with a win, that would be quite impressive. And he's running everybody over, Sarah. At the time of this taping, we're on day 4. There are 19 players left. Dario has 7.3 million in chips. Second place has 5.1 million. So he is crushing it so far.
Wow, that's so crazy. And it's funny because in terms of, and I'm sure we'll talk more about the Player of the Year race, but if you take second in the WSOP main event and then you win the WSOP main event, like I feel like you should at least be in the top 10 or something somehow.
You should probably just automatically win Player of the Year. All due respect to everybody who's just grinding out every single event, but that is quite the accomplishment. With a win, Dario would move into, it looks like, 3rd place, and then he would have to jump into the clock. Let's just get into Player of the Year talk. How about that?
Yeah, so, let's do it.
Daniel Negreanu has the lead. Robert Campbell in 2nd, Shaun Deeb in 3rd, and we've talked about this race effectively being a 3-horse race, but Anthony Zinno, Dario Sammartino, David ODB Baker, they're saying, not so fast, my friends. We're still alive in the main event. we could still pull this one off. It's a little more than 1,200 points to the winner of the main. Zinno in 10th place. If he won the main, he'd be in second place right behind Daniel Negreanu. He would then need a cash in the Colossus. Something I don't like about this Player of the Year races at all is I feel like, Sarah, it kind of ends on a dud. Like, why doesn't it end with the World Series of Poker Europe main event? Why do we have to, oh no, it actually ends on the 500 euro Fire 19 Bullets Colossus. It's just like, it's such a downer to end the Player of the Year race. It's like, I don't even think Poker Go is covering the Colossus. So it just kind of goes out with this huge whimper of sorts. And it's been a really exciting, a really intriguing race. And the end of it's just going to be kind of because it ends with the Colossus.
And it's like, if we're trying to get people to be more interested, for example, in the World Series of Poker Europe main event, having it come down to the nitty gritty last few moments of the main event. And it is exciting for Anthony Zinno to still be in. I mean, that's like, we're talking about, we're still in it, guys. It's anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, but like, doesn't this just really ultimately harken back to the same thing we've been talking about forever, which is why does the World Series of Poker not end with the main event? Period.
Right. Exactly. And like, let's say that they were ending with the main, Zinno couldn't win Player of the Year. Then you feature Daniel Negreanu's win on Poker Go. Like, this is a massive accomplishment. He becomes the first 3-time World Series of Poker Player of the Year. You do an interview with Negreanu. But again, when it ends, it wraps up with the Colossus. And if Negreanu holds on for one of the greatest accomplishments in poker history, I think this would be the 3-time World Series of Poker Player of the Year winner before anybody else has 2 of those honors. It's just like, it just happens to fly under the radar. And then not to mention, like we've said over the last couple of weeks, there's no prize awarded to the Player of the Year either, save for the banner that we'll see next year. So I don't want this to end on a dud because it's been so intriguing. Shaun Deeb looking to become the first back-to-back Player of the Year winner. Hellmuth was still alive. Ant's still alive. Baker, Sammartino, but I feel like we're resigned to this kind of meh.
I mean,
outcome.
Not to mention when at the beginning of the summer when Shaun Deeb and Daniel Negreanu started their bet and started like placing odds and doing all this stuff on the potential of either of them becoming Player of the Year. I mean, what underdogs? We were, debating about this stuff and talking about this stuff before the beginning of the World Series. Like, to even remotely predict who's going to be the Player of the Year is insane, first of all, and then to have it end up being the 2 players that we were having the most discussion and dialogue about before is just, I mean, really, these guys are amazing. Amazing.
Right. It's so captivating, this Player of the Year race. It really is. But like, again, I did this last week. Like, I'm going through the World Series of Poker Twitter account to see when their last mention of Player of the Year was. And I think it was 5 days ago, 6 days ago. It's like, and again, they have 276,000 followers on Twitter. We should be hyping this thing up. We should get a daily little video from Negreanu, from Deeb, from Robert Campbell, from all these guys still left in the main event. And it's just like, if you want the World Series of Poker Europe to be taken seriously, then give it the social media coverage that it deserves, that this Player of the Year race deserves.
Especially because we die for these stories, right?
Of course,
like anytime there's any kind of a story or any kind of a sweat going on, moving into the, I mean, Anthony Zinno's still in it. Dario Sammartino is still in the main event. Like, this shit is crazy. Like, what is happening right now? We have still such a sweat. And really, I did see some coverage last week, at least on PokerNews, as Daniel Negreanu came into this position of being in first, because really having Daniel be the man to catch is a story in and of itself. It's insane.
Right. It all lines up so well. I keep using the word intriguing because I genuinely believe it is an intriguing storyline, the most intriguing storyline of the year. I just want to devote a little more attention to it, and that's hard to do when, like, the epicenter of it all, the World Series of Poker, is just like not really pushing it. It's just kind of like, whatever. It's kind of going on the side, but watch the main event. Which again, the Poker Go coverage helps, and I know the guys, Tuckman and Brent, are talking about it like crazy, and that helps immensely. It certainly does. We just need more help from the World Series of Poker side.
Also, can we just say, how much do I want to see Dario win this? I'm going to die if Dario wins. I feel like the emotion and the heart and all of these things that were present and there in this runner-up finish, and just how honest, you know, he was about, of course, gracious in becoming runner-up and everything, but just in how heartbroken he was in wanting it. I'm just, after having interviewed Jack Sinclair last year, I have to imagine it was the same thing talking to Jack Sinclair, where he said, you know, you come so close and you just think, you know, I'm probably not going to be on this stage very often again. And granted, the main event is significantly different than the WSOP-E, but to have followed that back with this, I feel like we're going to get if Dario wins, there will be an extra special little Italian tear that comes out, and maybe like some extra emotion, although he doesn't need the money. So maybe we can root for Anthony Zinno. I'm not sure.
I think those guys that we have mentioned are probably doing just fine financially, but hey, another 1.1 million euros doesn't hurt anybody.
NBD. Well, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned Hellmuth, who was still in the running. Let's talk about some of the other winners to go down this week at the WSOP-E. Oh,
yeah, Phil Hellmuth heads up for the title of the 25K Mixed Games Championship, looking for bracelet number 16. When nobody else has more than 10, he could not get it, though. He loses heads up to Besim Hot. So you can imagine how Hellmuth felt after that one was over. He was not particularly thrilled. I think he ran fairly poorly towards the end. So he's close. He was close to bracelet number 16. He had another final table appearance in Europe. Dmitry Urbanovich in third, Benny Glazer in fourth, Julian Martini in fifth, Daniel Negreanu in sixth, and World Series of Poker main event final tableist Alex Livingston finished in seventh. That was the 25K. In the 2500 short deck, how about Kyle Burns? We talked about him winning his first bracelet last week. He wins his second bracelet during the 2019 World Series of Poker Europe. This week, he takes down the 2,500 euro short deck. Pretty impressive, I would say, huh?
Wow. And also, is it just me? This 25K mixed game final table is really sick and crazy. And I think it definitely speaks to what we touched on a little bit a couple weeks ago, which is that integrating more mixed games into the schedule for the World Series of Poker Europe is one of the best ways to attract a more I shouldn't say talented field, but a lot more poker players are going to come when you give them a lot more juicy games to play and a lot more diverse games to play. I bet that was a crazy final table. And I have to imagine that was a pretty disappointing champion for a lot of the media. I'm like, that's kind of a tough one.
When you consider that final table. But yeah, you said it. I think the World Series of Poker Europe did a great job at mixing up the schedule a little bit. You know, mixed games have not been a part of World Series of Poker Europe in Razvedov. So they threw in a 2,500 8-game mix. They throw in this 25K. They throw in some short deck events. They throw in the high rollers. I think they did a good job. Speaking of the high roller, Chinwei Lim goes by Webster. Webster Lim wins the 100K Diamond High Roller. 72 entries in that one. He wins more than 2.1 million euros. He beats Jean-Noel Thorel. Heads up for the title. This is a player, Sarah, who we've started to see at more and more and more high rollers, and he beat the best of the best. Anatoly Filatov in third, Christoph Vogelsang in fourth, Matthias Eibinger in fifth, Ola Shemian in sixth, Danny Tang in seventh, and the great Phil Ivey out in eighth place. So a stacked final table. Props to Webster Lim for taking that one down.
He's someone I was looking forward to talking to. Actually, I know he was runner-up in, I think it was the 25K in Barcelona. But I was looking forward to talking to him because everyone was basically saying that he's just like a really interesting guy, and he's kind of he's got a little flair, a little bit of style to him. He comes with like a little entourage every now and then. And to see him kind of up lately, I feel like he's been playing with the best of the best and placing with the best of the best. So he's clearly somebody to keep our eye on, and clearly somebody who has the bankroll to sustain, some downswings if it doesn't go good for a while.
Yeah. He plays in those Triton events, and he's really just popped up over this last year or so. Like you said, we saw him make a deep run in Barcelona. We saw him make a couple deep runs at the Triton London stop. Same with the Triton Razvedov stop. I mean, in his winners photo, Paul Pua is there one of the creators and founders of Triton. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Webster Lim to come in the future.
Yes, and I got to remember to call him Webster, and that's really cute. I feel like if you could choose, like a lot of these guys, they get to choose their American name, right? And I feel like Webster is a really interesting choice.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'll go with Webster.
But he kind of looks like he's this quiet, really reserved kid, very smart though. Has this style about him. Like I like it. I think it fits.
Yeah, I'm with you. It makes sense. And we talked about, what was it, almost 2 weeks ago now, I was at the HPT Daytona, at the Heartland Poker Tour Daytona. I was checking out the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club, and they did in fact crown a champion in the main event for $98,476. And this is an interesting one because they didn't have a guarantee. But I would imagine if they would have had a guarantee, it probably would have been around 100,000. I think they had been either just shy or just above 100,000 in the year prior. So it seems like, if they're able to, that's a really solid stash to take home. Plus, what is this? It says plus 3,500 HPTCP. What does that even mean?
A championship package. I guess their championship event at the end of the year is a $3,500 buy-in. So Eric Salazar wins that to go along with his $98,476. He's a guy who final tabled an HPT main event a couple months back. I mean, you probably saw this when you were there. A couple guys, we always hear of traveling the World Series of Poker circuit, or you travel internationally for the high rollers. But I imagine a lot of these players are traveling the Heartland Poker Tour as well.
Absolutely. And apparently Eric Salazar has already been on the LFG podcast. So if you guys want to check that out, if you haven't already checked it out, this is a podcast with Chad Holloway and Jamie Kurtstetter. Comes out bi-weekly. It's part of the PokerNews podcast family. So I would absolutely recommend checking that out if you want to get to know Eric Salazar a little bit better. And I know that so basically the Heartland Poker Tour takes this entire final table and splices it up into an hour-long episode and then airs it on national television. I don't know exactly when it's going to air, but keep your eyes out for that, because I do think, when you take something that generally lasts, 12-plus hours and turn it into an hour of coverage, it's usually pretty juicy, pretty interesting hands, pretty fun coverage to watch. I, for one, loved watching it because one time my husband final tabled an HPT.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, I get it.
What HPT was that?
It was in Las Vegas, and I don't know what one it was, but I do know later we were up in Colorado snowboarding, and I saw it on the TV, and my whole family was like, "Oh my gosh, your husband is famous! He's on TV." I don't know why my family was from New York.
You're like, he's been on TV. Oh, right. Family adopted the New York accent.
But yeah, I was thinking. Like, he's been on TV, but
he's been on TV a couple times, but sure, for poker too.
Yeah, we're in the big times. We're in the big times now. But yeah, I had a lot of fun at that event, so I'm glad to see that going on. And speaking of Florida, in fact, this week we've got Tony Burns. Finally, he's been so busy. We've got Tony Burns on the podcast. He's been really busy opening the guitar-shaped casino hotel, which we've been talking about for years now while it's been in construction. But we talked a little bit, about this poker scene in Florida. For one, I honestly have to say, I know a lot of people, especially, post Black Friday, have had to find places in the country where they can play cash games. I have a lot of friends in San Jose. I used to have a lot of friends in San Diego. Everybody seems to be moving to LA now. I don't know, guys. I think you should maybe check out Florida if you're looking for like a really solid scene of a lot of grinders and maybe slightly less expensive real estate than, say, Los Angeles. It seems like there's a lot going on in South Florida.
And a really nice place too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard about how Tony and the Seminole staff treats players. It's always a very popular stop on the tour when they have like a Rock and Roll Poker Open or a WPT stop. Their guarantees are huge. So the structures are really good for the tournaments. And you said it, there's a lot of action there. So I think, when you combine everything, it makes for a pretty good place to be, place to camp out and grind.
And I didn't realize, you know, when I was in Daytona, they were talking, I mean, some of the games they were spreading in the Orange City card room were pretty big. And I was just, you know, trying to figure out, like, where are all these people coming from? But apparently there's a lot of professional athletes in South and Central Florida, and just a lot of people with money, people who have second homes, people, you know, who've come from New York to just, you know, spend their winters in Florida. And so, yeah, it seems like there's more money floating around there than I initially gave credit. But we will get to Tony Burns in two shakes. Let's first, what is this like alien sound that keeps happening? Let's talk a little bit about what went down at the Run Good Downstream main event.
Run Good at the Downstream Casino in Oklahoma. Greg Jennings takes down their main event for more than $38,000 along with a signature championship ring. I'm pretty sure he is a regular on that Run Good Poker Series tour. I know him from his tweets. He tweets a lot about video poker, and he seems to have a royal flush like once every week and a half or two. So, you know, I'm not sure how much this $38,000 means to him. It's about, like, you know, I'm sure one of his royal spikes because he plays fairly high stakes video poker. But that's cool to see one of the regulars on their tour take it down and take the ring. And speaking of Run Good, Sarah, so this last week on Poker After Dark was the finale to Run Good's Showbound series, where they had 2 sit-and-go tournaments, 5K buy-in, and 2 of their qualifiers showed up, one on the first night, a different one on the second night. Somehow, some way, somebody must have canceled. I think Norm Macdonald couldn't make the second night of it, so our guy Brent Hanks called me up. He said, do you want a seat on Poker After Dark, a 5K, a sit-and-go, Sarah, like old-school Poker After Dark tournament style. 25K for first, 10K for second. I said, sure, I'll take it. I played alongside the Run Good qualifier. His name is Clyde Torrance. Played alongside the boss man, Sam Simmons, alongside Jamie Kerstetter, Gary Gates, Jamie Gold, and the great Chance Corneth, quite the poker player, of course. So I get there. We draw for seats. I draw a seat to Chance's right. So to have Chance Corneth on your left is not exactly the dream draw. But, you know, whatever. We're talking a lot. I said I'm going to relentlessly 4-bet him because I know that every time I open for a raise that he's going to want to pick on me and 3-bet me. So we found that moment, Sarah. We found that moment. Blinds are up to, I think, 1,500, 3,000. I have about starting stack, which is 150K. All 7 players are still alive. It took a while to bust somebody. Folds around to me on the button. I pick up pocket 10s, raise it up, make it 6,500. Here comes Chance Corneth in the small blind, 3-bets it to 20,000.
Fucking Chance.
It folds back to me. And I know that he's doing, now he could have a good hand, of course, you know, but I also know he's doing this with a multitude of not
wide
so good
range.
So I say, you know what, let's make it 57,000. Let's make a decent sized 3-bet, but 4-bet, I should say. But one to where, like, he could still kind of put me in on a bluff because I had enough behind. Like, I didn't want to make it 80,000 and have him fold all the trash hands. If he has a good hand, we're getting it in regardless, so I might as well make it, like, in the 55 to 60 range. I think. I like to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. I have no idea if that was the right size.
That logic sounds good to me. That plays.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Chance thinks about it for a while. He kind of rolls his eyes. Looks like he's about to toss his cards into the muck. Eventually, he goes all in. So I take some time to think about it, mainly because I wanted to toss one of those cool time extensions into the middle.
Yeah.
Like we see the pros do. This tournament was played with a shot clock, so I thought that would be cool. But, you know, thought about it. It's my tournament life on Poker After Dark. I mean, this is for real. This is a serious spot. So eventually I do make the call. I show the 10s. He looks and he says, yeah, that's good. And he shows the Queen 3 of diamonds. So Chance has the Queen 3 of diamonds.
He was trying to bully the Jeff Platt. Exactly. He didn't know.
Exactly. He didn't know that we'll call off for our tournament life with the very good hands.
Dude, if we're 3-betting, we're 4-betting. Let's go. Okay, what happened?
Yeah. I told him, let's go. So we have the 10 versus the Queen 3 of diamonds. The flop comes Queen 9 3. So Chance flops 2 pair. Although I turn an 8 for a straight draw. So you give me a jack or a 10 on the river, and we double up to about 300K. The river card is another 3. So it's a full house for Chance Corneth. it is good game to me, out in 7th place and dead last on night 2 of Showbound Run Good's Poker After Dark week. It was great to see Tana Karn, the boss man, the CEO of Run Good there. I was able to drown my sorrows in some cocktails at the bar with him. But yeah, that did it for me on Poker After Dark.
Chance such a lucky little bitch. I mean, does he even know how to play poker? He is so fucking lucky.
I mean, that's obviously why he's good, why he has results, It's just because he's lucky. There's no skill there or anything.
No, he's just like a pretty boy with a cute smile and a lot of luck. And he's coming from my boy Jeff Platt, and that just pisses me right off. Chance, what are you doing out there? Oh, that's so ugly. Agony. And I was actually saving this, like, I really wanted to know how your whole thing went on Poker After Dark, but now I know, so I don't have to ask you. I'm glad you brought it up yourself. Might have been embarrassing.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, same here. Really glad I could tell you that story. When will we see you? What's next for you are you going to be on Poker After Dark anytime soon? What's next in your content life?
So I'm going to go to WPT Montreal this week and play the main event at Playground Poker. I figure I'll get some interviews there for us to use on the PokerNews podcast next week. That always draws a bunch of heavy hitters, so we should get a couple of good interviews for that one. And then we have the Poker Masters that starts November 5th on Poker Go. I'll be on the break desk with Brent Hanks and the great Maria Ho. So really looking forward to that one.
Okay, so let's talk about this. If you win that belt, the WWE style belt in Montreal.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
Will you wear it to the Poker Masters? One time.
I will carry it on my shoulder like the champs do, sometimes when they're just casually walking around with it. Yes.
Like do a walk-in, maybe like, walk into the break desk.
The studio. Yeah. With the belt draped over my shoulder.
I want to make sure people like Chance Corneth know what they're messing with.
Oh, yeah. I'll send Chance a picture of it too.
Okay, good. All right, good. Well, I, for one, am always looking forward to, of course, the Poker Masters, but mostly I'm looking forward to Jeff Platt winning his first really big major tournament.
Come on!
Smoke bombing on all the other stuff he has to do besides the PokerNews podcast, because that's obviously the most important anchoring part of Jeff's life. We're going to go ahead and move on and talk to Tony Burns. But before that, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. We love Run It Up. Just kidding. We were doing a whole segment on Run It Up just there. Did you guys get it? But we're not doing that this time. Run It Once. We have an exclusive offer for players who sign up to Run It Once Poker through PokerNews. Sign up and make your first deposit by November 7th, and you will receive 101% net rake back for your first 7 days following your deposit. Additionally, your deposit will also be eligible for a 100% matched welcome bonus up to €600. To qualify for the rake back and welcome bonus, simply sign up through once.run/PNPod. Again, that's once.run/PNPod. Make your first deposit and get splashing. And for those who are looking, we'll have a link in the article always. Every week that Run It Once sponsors the podcast, we'll make sure to have that link there so you guys can sign up and take advantage of the rake back and also the welcome bonus. It's pretty sick. And if you don't follow Farrah Galfond and Phil Galfond on Instagram, definitely recommend.
And Twitter.
Yeah, 100%. Let's just get on the socials with them. And yeah, should we throw it to Tony B since I'm
Let's
sweaty?
Let's do it.
All right, let's welcome to the show marketing director at the Seminole Hard Rock. It's so hard for me. Is that even? I just want to call him TD Tony B forever. It's so sad. I guess he'll tell us what all his new official life is, but he'll always be TD Tony B to me.